Alrighty, I think we should be good to go. So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It's so good to see so many people here for the first meetup. Sorry about the public transport situation. That sucks, but not our fault. Whoops. We've got a whole bunch of free Unity stuff here, provided graciously by John Seatsma of Unity. Yep, it's all free. You've got some microfiber cloths, pencil cases, swag bags, stickers, these little fold-up Unity developers.
No one knows what that is.
I don't either. I think they're from Unity in Japan. Pretty cool though. Alright, so welcome to the first talk. It's by me, Luke Harris. So it's on an introduction to AR Foundation, or how I made an AR game in 11 days. So let's get right into it. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Luke Harris. I'm an XR developer. I'm a trash maker. I'm a freelance designer / programmer. I see Nathan laughing at the programmer. Yep, and the photo's by David Ma. He's great. So part 1, a proper introduction to AR Foundation for those of you who don't know what AR Foundation is. So what is it? It's a cross-platform AR solution that works for ARKit and AR Core devices. So who made it? Unity made it. When did it get released? Got released in June this year, so it's pretty recent. So where can you get it? You can get it in the Unity 2018 Package Manager. So you just go Window, Package Manager,
I love this.
All, and then you have to look for a little bit, and then you find it, AR Foundation. Then you just install it from there. So, why does the AR Foundation even exist when we've already got ARKit and AR Core? Well, it solves the issue of having to use 2 separate APIs for one application. So, say I want to build an ARKit game and an AR Core game. I'd have to use both those APIs. But using AR Foundation, I get basically the same feature set from both, and I only have to write using one API, and it will automatically switch between them using AR Foundation. So what does it do? It provides cross-platform support, as mentioned. It's super easy to pick up for anybody who's used any kind of AR or VR SDK before. You need to know very little programming to actually get started with it. It's super easy, and we might jump into a little bit of a demonstration after this. And it switches between ARKit and Core depending on what device it's running on. So it just does that for you. You don't have to worry. No sweat. Cool. So part 2 is kind of a little subtle launch of my new game, Ducks of Destruction. So all the people laughing, they've seen this in development. So what's Ducks of Destruction? It's an AR game about some very angry ducks. So let's have a quick look at some gameplay. If it loads. It should load. So as you can see here, you've got a little...
Of course, yeah, it is a slingshot.
That's the best I could think of, Steve. Cool. So it scans out a plane. It uses a custom material, which is super easy to set up in AR Foundation. It spawns a duck, and you feed the duck using the slingshot. Someone said Game of the Year. I just want that on the record. I wholeheartedly agree. Oops. Technical difficulties. This is the first time presentation. This is all in beta.
Let me know if you need a mouse. I've got it in my car.
Shut up, Steve.
I'm serious.
Cool. So how did I make Ducks of Destruction in 11 days? Well, a lot of stress. So here we've got a couple of screen grabs and a couple of whiteboards of things that I've been doing. So we've got some lovely text messages between me and Nathan. Sounds easy. Why isn't it working? I don't know, Nathan. There's very little documentation. We've got some nice emojis here. We've got some whiteboards and designs. We've got the burn down chart. It's going good. Oh, it's going good. It's going, yeah, all right. Yeah, it's good. Burn down chart worked out. It worked out fine. So then what are the main AR things that I actually used while making it? So the main actual Unity components that I used were AR reference points, the AR plane manager and AR planes, and the tracked pose driver, which poses a very interesting issue with line renderers that, as you may or may not have seen on the slide before, caused me to nearly give up on this project entirely. So, let's have a quick look in the editor and hope everything doesn't break. Woohoo! Alrighty.
Sacrifice to the demo gods.
Here we go. Alrighty. So, this is the project files for Ducks of Destruction. So, if we look at our prefabs, so on the duck prefabs, to make sure that they spawn in the right spot and they stay in the right spot in AR, we've got an AR reference point attached to it. So any object that you want to be sort of in one spot or be tracked in AR correctly, you use an AR reference point. So then the rest of these scripts are related to duck movement, things like that. Then on the camera object, we'll go into scene setup in a little minute. So if you want to use line renderers in AR Foundation and you want them to be moving and you want them to move correctly, this is something that took me and Nathan about 2 days of debugging. It's this one button. So, so a tracked pose driver basically helps with tracking the physical camera's position in the space, and it adds to Unity's understanding of where everything is. So device is a general or generic XR device. Oops. Pose source, color camera. So AR Foundation does support sort of head-mounted displays. I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know how good that is or not. Tracking type, rotation and position, rotation, you get all that. Then update type, you've got update and before render, which basically means that it will give all the data to the renderer, it'll render everything. Then what happened with the line renderers was they did a really weird thing where they were rendering and then they were updating, and it got really confused, and it caused a lot of jitter. And as you may or may not have seen in the presentation, I nearly gave up because of that. So I just set it to update, and it'll work properly. Yeah, so that's sort of the basics of that. I have a demo on this phone if you want to give it a go later. It's a pretty fun game, as said by Jackson Hall over there. Big shout out for the moral support.
Woo.
Alrighty, so let's have a quick look at a demo built using the same project files that it's very easy to set up. So what we've done is we've made a test scene and then we've set it up. So to set up an AR Foundation scene, all you need to do is you need to right click. Actually, let's make a new scene. Create. I'm also working on a trackpad, so if my mouse movements are not great, that's why. Cool. So to set up an AR Foundation scene, delete the main camera, right click, create, XR, AR Session Origin, which contains our AR camera. And if you're using any code that relies on camera.main, you'll want to set your AR camera tag to main camera and create XR scene session, or AR session, sorry. And then if you want to use tracked planes and point clouds on your AR session origin, I believe, you'll add in the drop-down menu, down in XR. Oh, okay. Maybe just search. So AR, this is where all the manager components come in. So AR plane manager, AR point cloud manager, and AR reference point manager. So should be down here. Cool. So you might be wondering why all of these are empty. That's because these are basically prefabs, so you can create your own versions of these using sort of the samples provided. But for Ducks of Destruction, what I did was I created just sort of default ones. So AR default plane, AR default point cloud, and I made my own reference point. But basically, you prefab these out, chuck them into those slots there, and it works. I've already set these up, so I can get rid of these. And then add in our plane manager from our assets. So this is built off the same project file, so I had access to some of the same things. Let's see, where is it? Sorry, it's also a computer I haven't used before, so that's always fun. So AR default plane and AR point cloud. So I'll save you the trouble of watching this take half an hour to build, but just trust me that it basically builds out a plane using the default plane, and it builds a point cloud. Then you can use raycasting to detect surfaces. AR Foundation does come with some nifty raycasting tools in the AR Session Origin, I believe. There's all documentation up, so if you just Google like Unity AR Foundation documentation, it should all pop up there. So that'll create a point cloud, and then if I look into a script, I haven't actually opened up Visual Studio on this computer before, so let's see how that goes. But we might actually, let's just take a look at these first. These will probably be easy to take a look at. So I'll show you the demo in a minute, but basically for this script, this is sort of the duck manager. So we've got a public function quack, which plays a track or a clip, and then on place duck, basically what we do is we search for, or if we get a raycast hit, we'll instantiate a duck prefab there. If it moves, we'll move it to that point, and if we let go, we'll quack, and we'll make the duck null, so that we can reset it later. So I'll save you the trouble of building it, but if you chuck in, I might make these project files available so that it's easier to take a look at. So if we go into here, you can see that we've got game manager, place duck at point, we've got these all set up, and that's literally it. So when you build this, what you get is you get AR plane detection. You can automatically sort of just tap on a point on a plane, it'll spawn a duck, duck will quack when you spawn it, and then when you let go, it'll stop quacking, and then when you move it around, it'll move around on that plane. So that's how easy it is to get started with AR Foundation. Yep, so are there any questions or any comments? Oh, lots of hands up. All right, let's go, Steve. Let's get this out of the way.
There's stuff that, so there's stuff that is in ARKit that, I don't know, I haven't touched it in a little while, but there's stuff that was in ARKit that wasn't in AR Core, like vertical plane detection and stuff.
Yep.
What does AR Foundation do about that? Like if there's something available in a certain API that's not in another API, can it just fudge it?
I'm pretty sure that AR Foundation or AR Core has caught up with ARKit in terms of vertical plane detection.
Sweet.
So
the feature sets are pretty similar?
Yep.
Awesome.
I don't think AR Core has face detection yet.
Yep.
But it does have vertical surface detection, which is really nice. It was a nice surprise to find out.
So if you were to try to add something like that, it'll just fail to compile.
Like face detection?
Yeah, like if you were to, like, if it was a gotcha, like if you were working, if your build target was Android and you tried to add face detection in AR Foundation.
So AR Foundation is its own thing. It's not using ARKit or Core's plugins. So if I go to the package manager here, you download the AR Foundation package and then the plugins, which one you want.
Yep.
They have the exact same features for now though. So with AR Foundation, you won't actually be able to implement face detection yet.
Sweet.
So you won't run into that issue.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. Any more questions? Nathan?
Does it automatically do like persistence between sessions, or do you need to set that up otherwise?
I'm pretty sure that you can set that up. I think there's an option somewhere in the sessions, or session origin or something like that, to set that up. I'm pretty sure that's there somewhere, so I'm pretty sure you'd be able to do that.
Sure.
If not, it'll probably get added. They're working on AR Foundation really, really frequently, so I ran into an issue. One of the biggest drawbacks for me was having no instant preview. So anyone who's used AR Core knows that instant preview is an absolute godsend. It saves you from having to build every time you change one little thing. AR Foundation doesn't have that, but the team who's making it has been working on it tirelessly, and they've implemented a small version of that, which you can get from the GitHub repo. Yeah, so they're constantly working on it, so any discrepancies, they'll get sorted out in time. It's also worth noting that it's still a preview package, so it's not 100% complete yet. So all of these things, they'll get implemented over time. Cool. Any other questions? Yep.
I'm super confused about this project you're working on. Can you elaborate like general description of is the function of this created.
Okay.
Just give us like a general description, like how the AI foundation like linked to this like sweet code for app development.
Okay.
Just let me know.
So in case the camera didn't pick that up, the question was, how does... sorry, I'm a little tired. The question was basically, how does AR Foundation relate to the game that I was making? Is that basically what you're asking?
And the game, like, what's this game about?
Okay, so how does the game work and sort of that sort of thing? Okay, so basically, I'll go back to the video of it. So, what's that? Actually, wait, I've got a whole folder full of videos. I might mute it though. Cool. So, let's see what this is. Okay, so if you look in here, basically what AR Foundation let me do is it let me build this game once and it'll deploy for iOS and Android without worrying about it. So, basically what AR Foundation allowed me to do...
let it play!
So, what AR Foundation allowed me to do was it allowed me to sort of put in that plane detection without having to worry about whether or not it was ARKit or core supported. It would just work on either, no matter what. And in terms of the actual gameplay and the sort of how the game works, basically, as you can see on screen, you've got a slingshot in the middle of the screen, which you can use to fling bread at ducks. And then over time, the ducks will get angrier and angrier with you. So if you don't feed them, they'll get really mad. And I think in this video, they do end up attacking you. So if you don't feed them for long enough, they will just like storm you. And
A bit of Zelda inspiration there.
yeah, that was actually a big inspiration.
Isn't bread bad for ducks?
So I knew someone was going to
I
ask.
think a slingshot is bad for ducks.
So Nathan just said, "Isn't bread bad for ducks?" I know it is, but these ducks, they'll rage at you if you don't feed them. What are you gonna do? You're gonna feed them bread. If these ducks die, no real loss. These ducks are giant jerks. Why would you care? Why would you care about these ducks? These ducks are horrible. They're terrible ducks. They're not friendly.
Long story short, Luke doesn't like ducks.
Yeah.
No, I love ducks.
That's
So,
terrible, Luke.
so
Is that one on fire?
yeah, so when they get really mad with you, they catch on fire. Just to sort of show how angry they are at you. And then on the game over screen, we implemented.
Hey,
On the game over screen, we implemented some puns. So game over, you quacked it. Quack another day, or quack this, I'm out of here. So this version of the game is in super early alpha. We will link to a playable version of it.
I can see this going a long way. Actually.
I can too. By the way, very big shout out to Damien and Nick for lending me the Pixel to develop this on, even though they didn't lend me the Pixel to develop this. That's for another project.
It's good to see the good use.
I've had it for about a year now.
I've been smashing it, mate.
Yes.
Very bad.
Those ducks are amazing.
It'll be finished soon. Yeah. Right, cool. So, yep. Over here, so any questions?
I don't have any experience
yeah.
with VR, but about the testing. Every time you want to test the game, you need to build the game?
No. So, it's the absolute worst part about using AR Foundation so far.
Yeah, it's not a problem in other...
Yeah, so you can't just press play in the editor and automatically test it. If we jump into the project files for the full release, if we look in scripts, I ended up having to write my own thing. I had to like double up on input. So you've got all of your touch input over here, and then I ended up having to write mouse input as well. So touch input, what is mouse input? Yeah, so mouse input. So I ended up having to write double that so I could actually test stuff in the editor. There is support for sort of an instant preview-like thing coming though. So basically, all the features that AR Foundation doesn't have that you think it should have, they're all coming soon.
Yeah, on that, apart from
Right.
instant preview, is there anything else that's really pissed you off about coming from AR Core to AR Foundation?
Line renderer.
Yeah, apart from line renderers, because they're kind of a necessary use
So all of my
case.
friends will attest that I was the most annoying person ever complaining about jittery line renderers for like 2 days. So,
Because you didn't check a box.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also the lack of tutorials and documentation. So
Yep.
hopefully what this talk and presentation will provide is sort of a nice jumping off point for anybody who watches the video and anybody that was here. But yeah, that's about it. Any last questions? Anthony?
So like, as someone who's not experienced with AR at all,
Yep.
I assume that that plane is calculated with the point cloud. And does all collision on that plane work as well?
So, how I did collision was, I'm pretty sure, not the way you're supposed to do it. So, I should also mention to the record, I'm not a programmer. I kind of am. I've done programming professionally.
Said programmer in your first one.
Yeah, so.
It also said trash maker.
Yeah, so. Cool. So, I basically just
Make
made
sure that's
the mesh collider convex, which basically means that it'll collide and stuff. In the demo, you'll be able to see that Brett does land and stay on the planes for a certain amount of time. But yeah, so that's basically it. Also, last thing, and then we'll hang up the microphone, is
Nathan has a question.
I said that was the last question.
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, you talk to me later. Talk to me later. So setting up a custom material on a plane. This is something that's really good just to sort of polish stuff up. It is literally just a default Unity material, transparent, about half an alpha, and a custom texture. And that's literally it. And you just drag that into the mesh renderer of the plane prefab, and that'll just work straight away. It especially works if you've got a tileable material. Yep. Alright everyone, thank you so much for coming. I hope you had a good time. It's $5 Moondog Beer Can Night at Bar SK. Big shout outs to everybody who helped out with this. So we'll just go back into this. We'll go to, cool. So thanks for all of my friends who helped support me while I was making all this stuff. Thank you very much to Bar SK for the venue. Big shout out to Bar SK, absolute legends. Thank you to Unity for all this glorious free stuff. We've got pencil cases, bags, stickers, fold up developers. And thank all of you for coming. Alright, that's it everybody. Thank you very much. Woo!
Yeah, good luck.
How to turn off microphone?